You guys are live.
Huh?
I said you guys are streaming.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we want to wait a few minutes, give the people a little time to get in. No, it's still a little early, and I don't quite see everybody.
Okay.
We got somebody on a telephone. I don't know who that is.
That's me, Mike. Jerry Mingo.
Hey, Jerry Mingo, how are you?
All right, how you guys doing?
Okay.
Okay. We'll give the folks just another minute or two, waiting to see who all comes on. But real quick, good evening, everybody. Happy holidays.
Good evening.
Yep.
How's-
Good evening.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. All that enthusiasm, you guys are blowing me away. All right. Okay. Well, I tell you what, while we're waiting, let's do a quick roll call. We have Orel Henry.
Here.
We have Clodagh Bazinski.
I'm here.
We have Jim Bronner.
Yep.
We have Jerry Mingo.
Here?
We have Mr. Warren Boone.
In the house.
Looks like we just have another guest, Miss Jessica Wynn.
Hello.
Okay. We've got Mr. Michael McNair,
Yep.
Miss Michelle McNair, Alicia Doolin,
Yep, I'm here.
and then we have a special guest, ladies and gentlemen. We have a Miss Amy Hudson.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
I can also see Mr. Belton on the call. He's in listen only mode though. I see him. That might be him calling in. I see him popping up there. That's
Okay, so Miss,
his phone number
Can
down.
you hear me now? This is Belton.
We can hear you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Belton.
Hope everyone's well.
yes, good evening, Mr. Belton.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. I want to welcome everyone to the High Point Citizens Advisory Council meeting on this Thursday, December 17th, 2020. We're going to go ahead and open the meeting. And if we could someone lead us in prayer?
Belton here. Father, we're thankful for this privilege that we can pause for a moment in the business of our daily activity. We reflect on all the good things that you've done for us, and we are appreciative. We thank you for this opportunity that you've afforded to us to assemble in this capacity to discuss some of the items on our agenda involving the citizens of this city. We pray for each one who's assembled. We do have different ideas, thoughts, suggestions, and we pray that as we combine them together, that we will continue to be on one accord. We pray for those who may be absent. We pray for our special guests, and we continue to pray for the leadership of this city. These prayers we ask in your son Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Belton.
Yes, sir.
All right, group. We're just going to get right into it. We may have minutes for this meeting. I'll ask Michelle and Alicia, do we have minutes available this evening?
We don't, and I will tell you guys that I'm going to be off, taking some time off, and I will have some uninterrupted time to finish out all the minutes. Rob volunteered last meeting to assist us with some minutes, and I haven't had time to go back and look at the ones that he's done, but we are working on them, and hopefully they may be done, well, some of them may be done by the end of this month. If it's okay with you guys, when they are finished, I can send them back to you. And you can vote on them via email, or we can wait until our January meeting and I can have them send them to you, and then you guys can vote on them all at that one time. So it will be up to you how you want me to proceed in sending them to you.
Now, Michelle, we're going to get all of these minutes at the same time. So we'll get the last 4 or 5 months.
Now, if you want me to, send them as they're completed, that could happen. If you're going to vote over them via email, or even if you're going to do them all in, if you do them all in January, as they're completed, I will be sending them to you. So I'm not going to have them all and then send them all to you at one time. As they're completed, those will be going out to you.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think it may be a great idea, if it's okay with those who are preparing them, to send them to us as they're completed. We'll have an opportunity to review them and be prepared at a meeting to raise questions about specific items. And I think that would help save us a little time in that meeting where we're going to vote on the minutes.
Okay. I like that idea. Any other questions? Anyone?
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Okay. I don't think we had a motion. Is there a motion on the floor?
I will so move.
Okay. So we have a motion and it's seconded. We're going to vote. All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand. All ayes, and I am also an aye. So moved. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a special guest this evening. We have Miss Amy Hudson. She's here from the Salvation Army. She is going to be discussing the proposal that we were sent last week. I hope everyone had a chance to take a look at it. And right now we're going to hear from Miss Amy. Take it away.
Again, thanks for hearing me this evening. You know, COVID has made everything so up in the air since March that we've had to kind of adapt. And my request is simply to take some of the funding that we have not utilized and adapt to what we need it for now. Back in the summer, when we wrote this grant initially, we asked for money to support our summer day camp and our parents not having to come up with a whole lot of money to put them in camp after what they've been through in the spring. And we expected about 100 children. And we specifically designed our date for phase 3 beginning. So the first day of our summer camp would have coordinated with phase 3 opening. When the governor opted to back out and stay at phase 2, some parents were concerned about putting their kids in a public place, as they should have been. But it was also summer camp, so it wasn't quite the necessity that you know, remote learning has become. So our numbers went from 100 down to around 60 kids. At one point we had 70 signed up, but we finished out all 6 weeks with a full 67 kids. So we have requested the funding that we utilized for that, and that was about $65 a child, which comes up to $23,510 out of the $39,000 we were initially allocated. What happens next is, you know, remote learning begins. And there's a very short window of time for parents to figure out what they're going to do next. So, you know, at this point, phase 2 point whatever was going on, some parents were allowed to go back to work and had no place to send their kids. We are typically year-round an after-school program and a summer day camp. But because the need was so great, we opted initially right away, actually, to go to a remote learning situation. So we have opened our doors from 7:30 a.m. until 5:00 p.m. Monday through Friday, ever since school started. Now, there were funds that were offered by the county to assist some of these families, but we found that the criteria for these families really shortened the amount of people that were eligible for it. Specifically, and I don't know if any of you went through the steps it took to get that Guilford County funding for childcare, but they asked 5 questions. And if you answered any of the 5 questions no, then you didn't even make it to the application. And the questions that seemed to be stumping our families the most were, is every adult in your household working? And that seems like a very straightforward question, but we have a lot of families in our community where you've got a mother and her children that have taken in grandma, or that have a disabled member of their family. And they couldn't honestly answer the question that every adult in the household was working, so they immediately did not qualify for this funding. It also doesn't work when you've got foster families. One of the questions almost eliminated almost every foster family. It eliminated any child that wasn't in K through 5. So all of our middle schoolers were suddenly not qualifying for any financial assistance for this remote learning. And I'll be honest, I think the middle schoolers needed it the most. I think that the middle schoolers are at an age where being left home alone, unattended, trying to maneuver schoolwork that's preparing them for high school is challenging at best. And those kids did not qualify for funding. So what I'm asked, and let's not forget about our homeless population. That is a big part of what I made this request for. You know, the Salvation Army is the only women and family shelter in High Point. So we take in women who have children. There's a women's shelter, there's a men's shelter, but we take in the kids. We had 26 kids at various points in times. There's 26 kids in our shelter today. But those kids didn't qualify because a lot of times those parents are in transition and don't work. And they didn't qualify. One child in our shelter qualified for that funding. There were only 350 of those scholarships available, and they couldn't even give them all away. They ended up actually extending the finances for the kids who did qualify because there was still funding left. So what I would like to do is offset the cost of these kids who couldn't afford to be in our program, but we took them anyway. Our middle schoolers who didn't qualify, and the homeless shelter kids that didn't qualify because, you know, you can't get a whole lot of remote learning done in a shelter. I'd also like to point out that remote learning is difficult on everybody. So if you set aside the money for a moment, the necessity of putting kids somewhere where somebody can help them ensure their homework's getting done, can help navigate these Canvas and these other programs these kids are on, and help these parents get to go back to work or even take the time to look for a job. You know, some parents lost their jobs at the beginning of COVID, and if they don't qualify for the funding, they can't even go back and look for a job to start work. We had 37 children. At the time I wrote this letter, I had 37 children that we had at that moment that didn't qualify for any kind of funding to help offset their costs. Currently, I have added, I've added 6 kids in the last 10 days because parents who thought they could maneuver this at home learning are struggling with it, and these kids are failing. So it looks like, and Guilford County hasn't made a decision yet on what the school system is going to do come January 5th, but a lot of school systems in our state are already pushing it back. They're already pushed back to at least January 19th. So we are looking at least 2 more weeks of remote learning after Christmas, and potentially longer than that. Because if elementary doesn't go back till January 19th and the others follow several weeks later, it could be up into February and we still have kids in remote learning. So, you know, what I'd like to do is take the additional $16,000 that we have not spent, or just under $16,000, and apply it to these costs for these kids so that these families aren't struggling with how to catch that up, because most of them can't pay it. They just can't. And we just couldn't turn them away.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Amy. Does anybody have any questions for Amy?
Yes, I got a question. Hey, Amy, have you, do you have a count of how many families you want to help, and also the cost associated with the length of time those families you can do this remote assistance with them for?
Well, I mean, we started in August, and truthfully, some of this money would catch some of these families up that are behind already. But initially, our goal was to serve 100 children. We've served well over 100 with combined summer camp and remote learning. I have 53 kids in remote learning now, and then we have another 26 from the shelter in remote learning. So we've served well over 100. I don't anticipate adding more than another 10 or 12 kids at the most. And again, that's going to depend on what happens long-term with, you know, the governor's orders and the school system. I think everybody's kind of sitting around waiting to see what happens, I guess, with Christmas break. But, you know, I'd rather be prepared to not go any farther in the hole than we've already gone with the 140 some kids we've served total.
Okay, so do you feel that the 10 to 12 kids you mentioned will, with that remaining money, you feel that that will be sufficient for what you're trying to accomplish?
Yes, it's costing around $160 to $170 a week. And that includes, we feed them breakfast, lunch, snack. We provide remote learning. I've had to hire additional staff. We have one staff member for every 9 children. In addition to the one for every 9, we've hired 2 folks that, and one specifically who is custodial, who does nothing but walk around and make sure everything is sanitized. With the 1-to-9 ratio and the 6-foot separation between children, we've also had to expand into other rooms. So for every 9 kids I add 1 more staff member, because they're going to have to go into a different room and be separated from everybody else. So it's running right around $170 a week is our cost.
Okay.
I'm sorry, is that 170 per child?
Yes, per week.
And the food that you're talking about, is that the assistance that they get in the schools? Because the kids get free lunches and breakfast.
We have not done the school lunch. We've gotten a program through CACFP, which is a state-funded program. We're not sure how much longer that's going to be extended, because it's basically a summer feeding program that they extended into October, then November, and now into December. We're not sure what's going to happen with that in January yet. The school system lunches became a challenge, to be honest with you, because it's not delivered to us. I have to, send 2 staff members, which is additional staff that I can't afford. I have to send transportation to go and pick it up. The timing has to work out right, and that will be lunch. It wouldn't be breakfast, lunch, and snack. So we opted for this other program, even though we know that we're going to have to figure it out every 30 days.
Okay. Can I ask you, the staff that are working there, are they any kind of like assistant teachers, or what did they like? I'm wondering what a day looks like for a child, because remote learning can look different in each grade for each school, because they all have different teachers.
Oh,
So
it's quite challenging. Our staff are facilitators. We are not teachers. Their goal is every child has to provide us with their initial schedule, which has changed over the course of time because they've added more remote learning opportunities. So our facilitators basically are there to make sure they're on their live sessions, to answer any questions they have with the work they get after their live sessions, to communicate with teachers for anything that's missing or that they're lacking in, and then to tutor the child after hours. Most of my staff are either existing college students or recent college grads. So we did hire folks that had some education behind them. I do have one staff member who is designed specifically to help with the enrichment, which is the after-school programs. So she's not really there to help them with the schoolwork, but she does help facilitate the games and the art projects and the things that kind of add to the school day at the end of at 2:30 when they get done.
And assuming they were to go back in January, would it just become then an after-school program again?
It would. It would. And our costs would go down at that point.
Amy, how long would the remote learning be available? Would it be available until the end of the school year, till May?
Well, it's going to depend. Our current situation is I only have like 4 students that have opted for year-round remote learning. All of the other parents are just kind of in that limbo mode where I think at the end of this semester, they can choose to go all remote by choice, or they can follow whatever the school system is doing. So if those 4 children opt to stay all remote, then somebody will be there, several staff members will be there all day to provide full-time care for those kids and full-time remote learning. If all of the kids opt to go back into school when school does, and let's say it starts January 12th, which I think is, if I understand it correctly, January 5th would be the first day that K through 5 would go back, and then the middle schoolers on the 12th, and then like the 21st for high schoolers. We're going to stay open all the way through all of that, and then see what happens at the end of that.
I got a quick question. With so many unknowns going on out there with all this stuff, what's going to happen to your program when the money runs out?
God has been really good to us. And every time I think that we're about to shut the door, something happens, and organizations like you guys, the city, somebody has stepped up and helped us. I've had private donors. I had the option to shut the doors at the end of June or at the beginning of June and not do summer camp. And then you guys opened the door for me to be able to do the summer camp and the parents to be able to afford it. At the end of that, we sat down and thought long and hard about this remote learning. We didn't know when it was going to stop. At that point, they were saying 2 to 3 weeks, and then it became 2 months. And every month that's come by, we've just kind of hung in there. We will continue at minimal and after school program based on our annual budget. I have the funding to cover our annual budget. This remote learning is what's throwing the curve in there. If it keeps going, there's some talk about more CARES money coming down the line. I just try to make it 1 month at a time, since that's all I know what they're going to do is 1 month at a time.
No, I'm sure we all want to see your program successful and everything turn out great, because we all know that these kids are affected by all this stuff and everything that's going on, and it's got to be chaotic. But I just was curious if you had a plan B, if when the money runs out and you still need more, what kind of ideas do you have?
Well, I mean, we were able to have a successful fundraiser, believe it or not, in COVID year. We had a golf tournament at the end of October, which actually is helping us get through now. The biggest expense that I had going into remote learning were things like my Wi-Fi wasn't up to snuff for that many kids online at one time. So that's been addressed. We had problems with not enough computers because, believe it or not every child in Guilford County got a computer. We have families where you've got 3 kids and 1 computer was given to them by the school system for 3 children, and all have different live class options. So we purchased computers. We got some computers donated. We have covered the largest part of the cost. At this point, it's the staffing and it's the overhead and utilities. And we are running a bus route or 2 buses for the kids that are back in school. So when they're in school, we're picking them up and bringing them still there in the afternoons. The Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club in High Point has been going since 1937. It doesn't look the same as it did in 1937. Heck, it doesn't even look the same as it did a year ago. But we just keep trying to modify to meet the needs of our community. And I'll just keep trying to find funding to do that.
How's Gary doing, by the way?
It's touch and go. They sat him up for a few minutes, I think, earlier today. And from what I gather, he's still on a ventilator. They did move him to a hospital closer to his wife. They're in the same hospital now. And she still can't see him. But I think just the nurses, it's really cute. They're letting them FaceTime each other. But they said he shook his head a little bit when she was talking, like maybe he could hear her. But they're just trying to get him stabilized to get him off that vent.
That's bad.
That's actually an improvement. On Saturday, they called the family in Saturday. So to be, here we are at Thursday and he's stable, or more stable, I should say. I think that's a good sign that God's working.
Yeah.
Amy, everybody doesn't know who you guys are talking about. So can you sort of let people know who you're talking about?
Sure. If you have realized, the Salvation Army changes officers every 3 to 5 years. And up until June, Majors Gary and Beth Sturdivant were our officers for 2 years. And during that time, I think a lot of people got to know him through Rotary, and he was very jovial. He's very outgoing. He was very flamboyant. And there's a couple of really good videos on YouTube if you'd like to see his personality, because he is a funny guy. But when he left us, he went to work at our divisional headquarters in Charlotte. And on Thursday of last week, he and his wife both went to the hospital with COVID symptoms. They both tested positive. They kept her overnight and then sent her home the next morning. They admitted him, and by afternoon he was in ICU. 3 hours later, he was on a ventilator. He crashed fast. But he's got a great support system. There's a lot of people praying for him, and like I said, we think he's doing better. We just hope he hangs in there a little longer. He's a strong guy.
Let's hope so.
Thank you. Thanks for asking. I'll pass the message on.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine on Facebook, and I saw that on there.
If you go to his Facebook, they've actually created a blog. His sister has, that's attached to his Facebook, but it's called Sturdy Strong or something. It's a blog, and they're updating it every few hours.
Cool.
Cool.
I have a question real quick. I just want to clarify your request is to use the remaining balance of the 16,000 almost to cover the services that have already been provided for the children that did not qualify.
I think for some that have some services, but moving forward some services. Like we have some kids, like of these 37, I think we've got, I'm trying to keep them straight because I don't have the list in front of me. I think I've got about 15 of those that have been unable to pay anything at all. And I've got some whose parents have been able to throw $50 here and a few dollars there. And it's really to offset that balance. They don't feel like they owe us this back pay. But it's also moving forward. I feel like it would carry us into at least late July, end of July, for all the kids that I have existing that don't qualify for help.
Okay, so you want to request a grant extension to them, but right now your term ends at the end of December.
Yes, I would like to have a grant extension, yes.
Okay.
But now can I ask a question? Because I've been getting emails and reading some stuff today. The CARES funding that you guys receive, your deadline is December 31st, or is that out farther? Because I know that the county, for example, I did get a small PPE county grant, and I know they had said that because they have to report that the U.S. Treasury was moving up all their deadlines, I guess. So they're having to report their CARES funding earlier. And I wasn't sure if that was the case for this or not.
I haven't heard
No,
any.
as far as I know, I haven't seen anything different. When we initially awarded you guys the grant, we had it to December the 31st. And some of the agencies have come back and requested that, if they could get it extended. And so we have extended the majority of the grants that we gave with the CARES Act. I haven't heard anything different to say that all the funds that we have to be spent before December the 31st. And Mike and Nina, you guys are on the line. Have you guys heard anything?
No, there's been no change. I think the earliest date is September 30, 2021.
Gotcha.
And that may change.
Yeah, it's all been real confusing. There's a lot of stuff you read online, and it's kind of hard to keep it all straight. But yes, I would like to have an extension. Yes, to answer your question.
Any other questions from the floor?
I just have one more. I was just wondering, of the 70 something odd kids that you have, and then the 26 from the shelter, what does it take for a family to qualify? Has anyone had to be turned away, or
from our facility?
Yeah,
I haven't turned anybody away. And like that's what I was saying. God's kind of provided. I've kept the door open. I have not turned a single family away so far. I've been scratching, and we're doing without. As far as my staff understands, they weren't getting bonuses. They understand they weren't getting raises. We've had to, we've all personally taken the steps that what was more important was for the kids to be in there, and we just figure it out. Like I said, we've had to find computers and stuff. So no, I've not turned anybody away. No one, like anybody qualifies to be there. As long as, now I will say that I haven't had a lot of high schoolers, but K through 8th grade, everybody who walks in the door qualifies. I think, do you guys have a copy, or have you seen a copy of our packet, our application? There's no questions on there really. That's I do ask for financial information, but that's so that I can fill out the paperwork, and they fill out the one that you guys sent, the qualifier paperwork. But I haven't had anybody hit outside those financial ranges, so I've not turned anybody away.
yeah. And finances aside, I mean, not all parents are teachers, or are just capable of getting through this time.
The interesting thing is, and on a side note, I have friends that are professors in college who struggled with remote learning. When you've got a kindergartner and a 5th grader and different schedules, and you're still trying to work your job, it is almost impossible, even as an educator, to do it.
Yeah, I have 3, so I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
We have a copy of the application package that we can share with you.
okay.
All great questions, guys. Anyone else have any questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Amy. We appreciate you coming on this evening, giving us some insight. We will discuss this and we'll be getting back to you. Is that right, Michelle? Okay.
Well, thank you all so much again for listening and for your continued support. You know, no matter what you decide tonight, I want you to know how much we appreciate and how grateful we are for what we have received, because we couldn't have gotten this far without your help. And the community, you know, I think it's a testament to our community, how devoted you are to our kids. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night. And if I don't talk to you soon, Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Thank you. Good night.
You too.
Night.
Good night. Merry Christmas to you.
Okay. All right, group. So what do you think? We can vote on this now. If you guys, you know, have any questions just for the group or any concerns, let's hear those now.
I have no concerns. I think we need to do it. I mean, people are hurting. People need help now.
I don't have any concerns either, so yeah.
I agree. I also don't have any concerns.
All right, this is
I don't-
Willie Davis. Excuse me. I don't have any concerns.
Okay.
Belton, I don't have any concerns here.
Okay. So if go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's right. Yeah, I was gonna say I as well do not have any concern. I think there's probably more of a need as well that they may have.
Okay. I do have one question for Michelle. If we were to extend, or we agree to extend and give them the money, would there be a follow-up that we would get from them between now and July, now in June, or what does that look like?
I mean, for everyone that has been extended, you guys will get another update like you have in the past. If you guys recommend this action tonight, you will definitely, you will be getting updates, not only from Salvation Army, but from some of the other agencies that extended also. But you would be making a recommendation, you know, to approve her request. You'll be making a recommendation for her request.
Okay. All right. Well, do we have a motion to accept the request proposal extension for the Salvation Army?
I make a motion.
This is Jessica Wynn. I second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Robin, mind going through the roll call so we can make sure we have it official for everyone.
Gotcha. I will start with Clodagh.
Aye.
Mr. Bronner,
Yeah.
Orel Henry,
Aye.
Warren Boone,
I do.
Jessica Wynn,
Aye.
Willie Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Jerry Mingo,
Aye.
Donald Belton,
Aye.
and Rob Sims is an aye. Motion carries. All right. I lost my notes, guys, but the next agenda item is the neighborhood meetings. So I'll try to go from memory. The meetings for this month are canceled. Those should be starting up next month, and I'll let Michelle get into further details about that. So, Michelle, take it away.
Once I spoke with many of the neighborhood leaders, they were planning on starting meetings in January, but it all depended on the situation with the pandemic. And so at this time, I would have to go back and find out, you know, since, you know, we're still not meeting in a large group. I would have to find out from them if they're going to still meet or if they're going to do virtual meetings online. Jim and Mr. Mingo are on the call now, and they can sort of probably tell you what their groups are going to do. And I can find out from the other ones exactly what they're looking at doing. But the idea was everything goes as planned. We wanted to start meeting again in January, but it was all going to be based on pandemic.
Michelle, ours is still based on the pandemic. We'll wait to see how January goes.
Yeah, I had a long talk with Kiana yesterday about what the situation was, if it had changed, and we plan on still trying to meet in January face to face at Oakview Rec Center.
So you guys are going to meet in January, Jim?
We're gonna try. We're gonna see how it goes, see how things go, and see how the members feel, see if they're comfortable with doing it.
Okay. Mr. Mingo, you said you guys were not going to have a January meeting, correct?
Well, basically what Jim is saying, it just depends on the members and how things are in January.
All right. Well, let's hope we will be able to have, some meetings. We don't want to get too far out without communicating with each other. But Jim and Jerry, you guys will let us know. So, just get us that word as soon as you can, and then we'll try to plan for next year.
Well, we've been having the virtual meetings every month, except for this past month. But we've been having quite a few things going on, and but we want to get back to face if we can.
All right. So it sounds like you guys are going to have a meeting in January. At the least, it's going to be virtual.
One way or another, we will have a meeting.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All right. Next topic. I am going to just give a brief COVID update. I believe that I have a couple of slides that are going to be thrown up real quick. If you guys can see that. COVID-19, you guys know the numbers are spiking. There are more cases that are being reported. Hospitals are, again, they're getting more people to come in. So just real quickly, here in North Carolina, COVID updates are, as you can see, there is a state curfew in place. It's effective from December 11th until January the 8th. Individuals are supposed to be at home 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. And that also goes for the public gatherings. This order has been extended until January 8th, and it just still goes into indoor events are limited to 10 people, and outdoor gatherings are limited to 25. Okay. And as we're going through COVID-19, everyone, we do want to, promote what the CDC and what the state of North Carolina is asking everyone to do. And it's just basically practice the 3 W's. So it's just wear a mask over your mouth and nose, distance yourself 6 feet. And then most importantly, just keep your hands washed, sanitize, wipe, the areas that you go. Because these are going to be some things that will help as we get through these COVID months. Next slide. And then with it being the holiday season, there are people who celebrate different ways. So again, the CDC, state of North Carolina, they are suggesting if you can avoid that holiday travel, if you don't have to go, stay at home. If you do have to travel, they're asking to do those precautions, get yourself tested ahead of time, wear a mask again wherever you go, and try to keep it small and try not to be in too many places without your mask. This COVID-19 it's an incredible pandemic, as we've heard earlier from Jim and from Amy. So again, if you're just, going to be out there, I did put a link that has suggestions as to some things you can do if you're traveling. If you guys want to get a copy of that, just look on there and it can show you exactly the things that I'm talking about here. Next slide. And then here, really, if there's any information that's out there, the county has it at this website that you see listed. And then I also put up a vaccine website. The vaccines are coming. Don't quite know when they'll be here for mass distribution. Right now, the way the CDC has put it, they're going to get the frontline workers first. And then after that, I think it's going to be individuals who are at most risk. So it could be seniors, could be, students. I don't know quite how that is going to happen. But this website, you can see if you just click on that, it'll give you some great updates and some information on the vaccines that are to come. Okay. And that's pretty much it for our COVID-19 updates. Does anyone have any other thing they want to add?
All I can say, it's not a joke. Please take it serious. Please take it seriously.
Yeah, I think the last numbers were like 21,000 for Guilford County. And of those, I think it's like 2,000 or 3,000 in High Point alone. So caution, ladies and gentlemen, it is the holidays. I want everyone to enjoy it. But I do just want to make sure we point out that we need to stay safe. We need to stay vigilant, and we need to just make sure that we're practicing everything that we can to stay safe and keep our family safe.
Well, I will say one thing, that they told me that there are no beds. Our hospital is packed. It's filled. The whole 6th floor is COVID patients. ICU is COVID patients on ventilators. It's not pretty. And the poor health workers who are working nonstop and massive hours just continue to do what they got to do. And they're all angels. That's all I can say.
Gems, everybody heard that, right? Jim dropped a gem. Okay. Let's all just, again, be safe out there. I want to see everybody here in January smiling, being serious about the work that we're involved in. And, I reach out to each of you. Let's just be safe. Okay. Excellent. Okay.
Amen,
Next,
brother.
we have a VITA information, and I'll let Alicia have that.
Unmute, you can hear me now. Okay, so you've heard us talk about the VITA program. So we wanted to give you just an overview, a little bit more on the program. VITA is an IRS sponsored program. It's the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. The City of High Point has been doing VITA. This will be our 15th season to be a partner. VITA, the aim of VITA is to reach underserved populations. So that's those with low to limited incomes, the elderly, non-English speaking individuals and families, anyone who might not otherwise have access to tax preparation services. VITA sites, the VITA is a nationwide program. It's actually worldwide. It's located in all 50 states and abroad at military bases. And last year, VITA prepared over 4 million tax returns with a very high accuracy rate. As you can see, a 94% accuracy rate on those returns. This to the left, this is the utility insert that goes out in the City of High Point utility statements. They just went out actually a few days ago. We've already started getting some phone calls. We partner with different nonprofits, local colleges to host VITA sites. So we can't do it all ourselves. So we reach out to our community partners. As you can see, the list there, it grows a little bit every year, it seems like. We try to make sure that we're covering all of High Point and that we're in locations that are easy to access, that are along a bus line or have different hours, because we know our clients have different hours. I do want to mention also the GTCC site and the Arc of High Point site. Those are almost exclusively run by those organizations' staff. So we have the employees of those organizations, and actually the executive director went through our training and became a certified site coordinator in order to do that. Some of our other partners, these are not necessarily sites where we have locations, but they are partners in other ways. We do partner with financial institutions because in addition to the tax preparation service, we want to provide that financial literacy information, educational resources for our clients that might need that. We also at GTCC, I mentioned the Titan Link Center that's on both of their campuses. That's sort of a community resource center for students and faculty. So we're very proud of that partnership. We also partner with High Point University. They have an actually accounting class that gets credit, college credit for their students to come out and get the real world experience with working at a VITA site and preparing their tax returns. Also United Way Greater High Point, and we are part of the North Carolina VITA Coalition, which is all the counties in North Carolina that operate VITA sites. We work together to share resources, to share training materials, to share funding. We get a VITA grant through the IRS that helps us fund some of our site supplies. So it's a very big partnership and coalition that we're proud of. Our volunteers, the VITA volunteers vary from season to season. We've had from anywhere from 20, and I think last year we got up to about 50 volunteers that come through our training. They come from all walks of life, accounting students, retired CPAs and professionals. We have some faculty, and the Arc of High Point I mentioned, their executive directors is also a volunteer. But it's really great for students or retired individuals that want to give back, want to serve the community, and might have some previous tax knowledge, they may not. But as you can see, last year, over 900 hours they committed and worked at our VITA sites. City staff, we provide all the training and along with the IRS materials. IRS also offers some online training. So we take them through the process of first finding out about the program all the way through showing up and working at the site. We do also try to recognize our volunteers every year. We try to bring them to a city council meeting to really thank them for their efforts and for the time and commitment. A lot of our volunteers are also working other full-time jobs. So for them to commit even a few hours a week is a lot. It means a lot for us, and it means a lot for our clients. I do want to mention just briefly some of the volunteer roles. We have greeters and appointment schedulers. So it's not only tax preparers that we look for volunteers. We want somebody at the site that is going to welcome our clients, tell them what to expect. We take quality control very seriously. It's very important to us. So we have a quality reviewer that actually goes through a return after it's prepared to make sure we try to catch all those errors that may have been made. And new this year, because of COVID and all the virtual prep that we're doing, we're going to have a virtual return coordinator that'll kind of be in the back office to help clients that may choose a virtual prep option to kind of be behind the scenes to help them navigate that process. Just a quick update for COVID-19 measures. We are, of course, taking that very seriously. We'll be doing social distancing. We're cleaning between appointments. We're staggering appointments to try to increase the distance and allow time for cleaning between clients. So we're still finalizing our schedule this year. Normally this time we'd probably be pretty set, but because there's so many unknowns and things that we're working out, we're getting there. I'd say we're about 75% there, but we actually started right after the season ended in July, planning for this coming year. And a part of the COVID measures is increasing our virtual preparation options and our drop-off options for clients. I also wanted to give you this snapshot. This is our 14-year history. We'll be going into our 15th year. As you can see, we try to expand and increase every year. Last year, as you can see, 2019 tax year, we did have a dip because we closed down in March. All of our 7 sites that we had at the time pretty much closed down middle of March 16th, I think was the date. Because we had some locations and volunteers that were willing to open back up, we were able to open back up for about 6 weeks from June through July 15th to do the appointments that we had already scheduled and that we had to cancel. So we were at least able to get those done. I also want to point out, if you can see this fourth column over, the earned income tax credit. If you're not familiar with that, that's one of the federal government's largest anti-poverty tools. It gives a tax credit for working families. And so we try to make sure that if a family qualifies for that credit, that we get it for them. I think about 20% of families that qualify for it, for some reason or another, don't claim it on their tax return. So we really push that that awareness of that credit and make sure we get that. Also want to point out our income limit every year is about 57,000. So a household income, that's our max that we go to. We don't really see anywhere near that. As you can see, our 14-year average income there at the last column is about 16,000. That's a 16,000 per household income. And just for a little reference, the federal poverty level in 2019 for a family of two was right at 16,000. So we're seeing very low incomes for the most part. And that's really what we want to, that's our target population that we want to get, to make sure we get their credit. And that's all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. I did send out, we're having volunteer training right now. We had a session last Saturday and we'll be doing another session this Saturday. It's about an hour training that we take you through all the steps that you need to know if you want to become a VITA volunteer. So I'm happy to send that information out again if anyone is interested. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome.
All right, anyone have any questions? No? I think VITA is going to be a very important piece this year. So I think anyone who can volunteer, definitely step up. I know Michelle and Alicia have been doing this for a few years that I've known about it, and they do great work. So, you know, I may even volunteer. Can I get a VITA challenge? Anyone wants to come with me?
We might could get you a t-shirt.
Come on, guys.
I was thinking I would like to volunteer as well.
All right.
And if you can't make the session on Saturday, I can send you the recording and everything that you need to get started.
What time is it on Saturday? I'm sorry.
It's 11 to 12 this Saturday. And it's for reason go-to meeting.
If we get 2 more people, can we get a cup, Alicia?
Depends on if you go through and pass the test and actually volunteer. Michelle knows about it.
You got to pass the test.
You have to be official volunteer to use the promotion.
Hey, Rob.
Mr. Media has been a volunteer for a long time.
15 years.
15 years.
Oh, shoot. We got 1 more. Come on, guys. Don't let me down. 1 more. We're going to get a cup and a t-shirt.
It's a coffee cup or?
I don't know about t-shirt.
It's a difference, guys. Come on. Okay. Well, we'll be back in touch with you, Alicia, by Saturday. See if we can recruit 1 more to go with us. Excellent. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. Next on the list, we have our 21-22 public service grants, and I will pass the floor to Michelle.
Okay. Hey, we got somebody in the chat so you can volunteer. If you volunteer, who's that? Ryan? Is Ryan volunteering? Oh, that would be nice if Ryan is volunteering.
I cannot volunteer. Unfortunately, I am in the middle of COVID at the moment, but I will give anybody City of High Point coffee cups if they volunteer.
All right. All right.
Oh,
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Thanks, Ryan. Okay. We have advertised for our information session for our 2021-22 public service grant. We have our information session tomorrow at 10 o'clock. For anybody, you know, any grantee that's interested or any agency that's interested in actually applying for the grant. Applications are due on January the 8th to our office. And you guys will be hearing from these particular individuals that submit their applications in January. We will go through a process where we'll make sure that people are eligible for, you know, for the grant. And then you guys will hear from them in January.
It's February.
I'm sorry, that's right. And I got it on my sheet that says February, but I don't know why I said January. You guys will hear from this group in February. They will come and present to you so that you can make a recommendation as to, you know, who you're recommending to receive monies. Any questions?
Michelle, January is the 2021 mid-year update. Is that still on schedule?
We need to talk to the agencies, Alicia, because since their contracts came to them so late, I'm not for sure where they're going to be. And so we will send something out to them to find out exactly where they are in terms of that. If not, then we'll have to push it back maybe until maybe March or something of that nature. Or maybe they can actually provide an update because, you know, some of them are just now really getting their contracts.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any questions of me?
So these awards are going to be awarded in June, July of 21 and run through July 21 through June of 22. Okay.
You guys will go through, make a recommendation, and then it will go to council to approve.
Okay. How many are we anticipating? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay. And you said we'll get that on January the 8th. That's when the applications are due, and we will hear from them in February.
Yeah, the applications will come into our office on January the 8th, and then they will come before you to present in February. But there's a process that we have to go through before you get copies of the applications.
Okay. Now, does this interfere with the CDBG CV grants or reviews when they come in?
When you say interfere and when you say come in, explain to me what you're talking about.
Will we be looking at both of those at the same time?
Right now, we have no more CV applications for you guys to look at.
Okay. So no reviews are coming first of the year? Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
So Michelle, can I ask this question? So have we spent or have we allotted or handed out all of the money? Or is there still some left and does it carry over?
I think, and if you guys remember, I think it's been about 3 meetings. What Mike had told you guys, and I think Mike is still on the phone too, is that there was $198,000 left, and that we have 4 agencies that were giving grants to help with utilities, mortgage, and rent. And with that $198,000 will be split up between those 4 agencies to continue that program. And so their current contract has been extended so that money can go out to them to continue to provide that service to the public.
Hey, Michelle, this is Willie Davis. That money that y'all that you were talking about that going to those agencies, do we as a committee do we need to vote on that, or is that just a staff decision?
That's a staff decision, and it's already been made.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Who are the agencies that receive that funding?
The agencies that will receive that funding is housing Housing Consulting Group, Open Door Ministries, West End Ministries, and possibly Piedmont Sickle Cell.
You said possibly?
We're just gonna be able to just look and see if they're gonna have the capacity to be able to do that or not. So that's why there's a question mark there.
Oh.
And all of this money is being used towards assisting with rent and utilities in High Point.
Rent, utilities, and mortgage.
Okay. Are they available right now? Can someone go and apply for these funds tomorrow?
The funds that's already been given out that you guys initially voted on for those agencies, if someone wants to go and apply for those funds, they can do that as long as the agency have those funds. We have not yet allotted the additional monies to those 4 agencies.
Will they be required to show us how they use that money?
Yes, and let me tell you this, because you guys probably ask this question every time. Anytime that money is given out, and if you guys want to update, we can give you an update on a monthly basis on how the money is being spent. And I think so far we have given you updates on the CV dollars as to where people are. And so that's no problem in giving you updates on funds that you guys recommended and that these agencies are spending. Any other questions of me?
All right. Well, thank you, Michelle. We do appreciate that report. Next, we have Mr. Michael McNair with Community Development and Housing.
I think they already knew that, Robert.
I just like to say it, Mr. McNair.
I think
Come
I
on down.
Development and housing though.
And Mike, and I was going to say no relations to me.
And no relation. No. Yeah, that's outstanding. Despite the pandemic, we still have quite a bit of housing activity going on. 2 homes on Cedro are underway. They've been sold. We've actually going to have a meeting with the builder, Community Housing Solutions. They're ready to talk about additional development out there. Again, that's part of the phone ring. There's 19 sites out there, and we're getting a lot of inquiries on that. So if you get a chance to ride out there, again, go out and take a look. Habitat has laid its first foundation over on Cable Street, and they're not moving as quickly as CHS because they're volunteer based, and you can imagine right now volunteers are kind of difficult to come by. But we're going to try to work with them to see if we can. We also have, you're probably aware, Wendover Trace is, Avondale Trace on Wendover is nearing completion. Probably January, I think, maybe. If we're lucky, January they'll be open. We'll see. But they're pretty close to completion. The other development, Abbey Crossings, is going through TRC review right now. I don't know if you're familiar with TRC, but that's the Technical Review Committee, and all those types of projects have to go through that. And they go through a gauntlet of city departments who come in with comments and requirements and changes and adjustments they may have to make. Next month, we expect to receive proposals from developers, or probably just one developer on the next tax credit site. It could be more than one. He hasn't finalized it yet, so I'm not going to board out sites because it may not be a done deal yet. But I hopefully will be talking to the committee about it, the Community Development Committee, about it in January, because the applications will go in third week or so in January. So I'd rather tell them about it rather than reading about it in the newspaper. The High Point Enterprise has gotten pretty good at going to those websites and reading that stuff, and then they want to know what's our role in those applications. So we're expecting at least one, maybe two, possibly three applications, but those sites have not been finalized yet. We're also waiting to hear what our appropriations are going to look like next year. The THUD bill in Congress has gone through markup. They haven't finalized it. I guess we'll see when they're trying to avoid a continuing resolution. So we'll find out, I guess, in the next week or two what our funding looks like. The numbers that we've seen so far have indicated from both sides, from the House and the Senate, that we're going to see some kind of an increase, perhaps 5% or something like that. But that's, it just remains to be seen. But we're not looking at a cut, which is always a good thing. So we know that there was increased funding for CDBG. There was increased funding for home funds, ESG, which we don't get any of that. But there were increases in all those areas. So depending upon who the other, they have to go through a formula and slice up the pie. Depending on how that works out, we'll get an idea. Hopefully February or so, we'll know. What we have to do in the interim, as we make, advertisements and make announcements, we have to just use last year's numbers or something to that effect as an estimate as to what we expect to receive going forward. We'll also be releasing an action plan schedule next month. It's sort of a milestone schedule going from January through May, whatever that meeting is in May. I guess the first meeting in May, and council meeting. We're also going to have at least one substantial amendment to the action plan because we anticipate having a Section 108 loan application. We may have two substantial amendments. Going to be kind of fluid on that. The Section 108 funds are what we use to participate in the tax credits. So that's just how they work together. Let's see what else I got. Last meeting, you asked whether COVID-19 activities would be eligible for public service grants. And we commented to you that, well, yeah, they're similar, they're eligible in that sense, but we've decided that they'll be separate. That we will not mix COVID-19 into the public service grants, because there's still agencies that require that type of assistance. As things unfold, there's still things that we're watching, we don't know. As you know, we have the $580,000 that, we've not made any recommendations to council. We've told them that we're kind of watching to see what happens, to see what other projects come up. There's a possibility that we may break a piece of that off and do another COVID RFP for that. But we want to keep the public service grants separate from the COVID activity. It just needs to be focused differently. It almost becomes, just for fairness sake, you don't want to develop a COVID bias, and then people that are coming at you with COVID kind of get a leg up on people that want to do non-COVID stuff. So, we just want to do it that way. I think that's all I got. Anybody have any questions for me? Going once, going twice. Really? Okay.
Ah. Okay, guys. No one has any questions.
Nobody has any questions?
That means you did a good job, Mike.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Right. Next on the agenda was city council updates, but I don't think Mr. Jefferson is on the line. Does anyone have any updates from city council, Mike or Michelle?
I can share a couple things with you. The city received this annual audit at the last meeting. If you like to look at that kind of stuff, it's on the city's website. If you go look at it, the thing to look at is the management letter. That's the piece that kind of covers the big picture, and the auditors will tell you. Well, I can tell you it was not a qualified opinion, so everything was kosher. But you get an opportunity to kind of see whatever recommendations they were making or whatnot. But it is on the city's website. There was also a presentation on the city's financial standing for the first quarter. And at this point, they said we have actually, I believe, received more than they anticipated, because, the city took a very conservative approach to coming up with a budget. No one is recommending running out and having a fire sale or buying a bunch of stuff. There were still areas, sales tax in particular, took a pretty good hit, but property taxes have been coming. I think you probably saw in the paper recently. I think Guilford County said they had 99.7% collection rate. So it was the absence of bad news that made it a good report. I said, we had a couple of areas that were down, and we thought they would be down, and we had some areas that were higher than what we thought they would be. I don't know how much detail is in the council minutes. And we'll have to show you sometime when you go. Do you know how to access council agenda minutes? We'll have to show you sometime. We won't do it tonight, but it's a good way to look up stuff, to see what the vote was, what the discussion was. It's not a transcript, but they do have what they call meeting notes in there that are fairly detailed, and you kind of get a sensing of what the discussion was or what the issues were. So a lot of times when we're researching stuff, we'll go look in there to kind of say, okay, what did they say? And of course, now with the COVID, all the meetings are recorded, but it's just it's not visual. You can only listen to it. Let's see what else happened. Actually, the last meeting was fairly short. Of course, a lot of the usual stuff, demolitions. I know there was some public hearings and stuff, but I think there was some economic development issue. Pretty much the usual stuff, but those are the ones that kind of came off the top of my head. I try to go to all of them, but sometimes I can't get to all of them. I try to go to them. That's all I got. I should have talked to Cyril and asked him. I'll try to remember that next time. Just ask him, if you're not going to be there, give me a little report, and I'll share it with him.
This is Nina. I'm sorry I missed a little bit of your presentation. I'm helping with homework too. Did you mention the CAPER by chance, that it's available for public review right now?
Go ahead, you got it.
That's right. Yes, our consolidated annual performance and evaluation report that we do annually, which basically outlines our expenditures and accomplishments for the year. It's due by the end of this month, and it's out right now for public review. And it's available on our website. And also, I don't know if Michelle said she did send you all the link. And so if you want to take a look at that, that would be great. And we will be presenting, just an overview of that at your January meeting. It's available for public review up until the 28th, I believe is the date, December 28th. Thank you, Mike.
And see, guys, with, you have these two halves of, I guess it's yin and the yang, but the annual plan lays out what we plan to do. The CAPER says, what did we do from the previous plan? So HUD makes us kind of close that loop, and we have to report in what the accomplishments, because we have goals in the plans. We have to report in what the accomplishments were, what happened, and all that kind of stuff. So it's they can be a little lengthy, but it's an interesting read. I encourage you to take a look at it. That's one of those reports we just have to prepare and submit it. No public hearing or anything. We just prepare it, submit it, review it with the Community Development Committee, and send it on in. That's all I got, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Does anyone have any questions for Michael? Okay. Do we have any announcements?
I just have a couple. First of all, I want to thank Ryan because every link that you guys talked about, Ryan has actually put it in the chat box for you. And so that's really wonderful. And thank you, Ryan. I told you he's an honorary member of CD. So, he's part of us. And so thank you, Ryan, for that. The second thing I had was your 2021 CAC meeting schedule. We always look at November and December. So for November, our CAC meeting falls on Thanksgiving. And I know none of you would like to be on a call with us or either in person with us for Thanksgiving. So just want to ask you guys if you want to move that meeting up by 1 week, which would be November the 18th. And then for December, your CAC meeting falls on December the 23rd. And I know that is very close to Christmas. And so did not know if you guys wanted to move that meeting up also a week or have it on December the 23rd. And so if you guys can, decide on that, I want to send this out to our city clerk on tomorrow.
What was that week prior to the 23rd of December?
That was December the 16th. That would be the day that we would meet.
I'm cool with it. I know the rest of the council has to say.
It'd be on the December 23rd or December 16th.
I'm good with the 16th.
I'm fine with moving both of them up a week.
Me too. Works fine for me.
Is that a motion there, Jessica?
Sure.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We'll start with you, Clodagh. Yay or nay?
Yeah, I guess since I seconded it.
Jim?
Yes.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Warren Boone?
Yep.
Jessica Wynn?
Yes.
Willie Davis?
Yes.
Jerry Mingo?
Yes.
And Donald Belton?
Yes.
And that will be a yay for me as well. Motion carries, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Okay, and then just the last thing is that we have just hired a new staff member and she will actually start on the 21st. And so at the next CAC meeting, you guys will have the opportunity to meet her.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Hired 2 staff members, but the second one will start in January. She'll be in a different division. You won't probably get to meet her, but you'll get to meet Brittany at the next meeting.
And I do have one other comment. Today is Jim's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yay, happy birthday.
Happy
You guys can say
birthday,
happy
Jim.
birthday to him because today is his birthday.
Happy birthday, Jim Bronner.
Thank you.
Let's sing for us, Jim.
Definitely. Happy birthday, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
happy birthday, Jim.
Any words of wisdom you want to give us on this great day?
Well, I do want to make a comment. I want to thank all of you who have reached out to me in the last 5 weeks, whether it's by phone or however it was, text there. You have no idea what that meant to me. This has been probably the biggest struggle of my life. This is something I've never experienced. And those who reached out and who were there for me, they know who they are. And I'm not going to mention names, but some people checked on me quite often, almost every day. When you're isolated and people treat you like you're poison because you have a sickness, and I couldn't go any place, I couldn't get anything, but there were people that braved all that and did a lot for me. But those of you who did call me and reach out, you have no idea how much I appreciate it. It has not gone unnoticed, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. And I want to thank everyone here for all of your hard work this year and the challenges that we face just getting through this COVID. Everyone has been super. Everyone's been responsive and committed. I hope this just continues in the next year. But I do want to give a special happy holidays to everyone here. I want you guys to stay safe. Enjoy the holidays as much as we can. And again, all of your work, really, really appreciate it. All right. So if we don't have any other announcements, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Do we want to go down the list? Is there anyone who does not want to adjourn? Let's say that first. Okay. So we'll start with you, Clodagh. Clodagh.
I would say good night and Merry Christmas. I hope everyone has a happy and safe.
Thank you. Mr. Bronner.
Yes. Yeah. Merry Christmas to all you guys, and please be safe.
Orel.
Yes, Merry Christmas to all as well.
Mr. Warren Boone.
Definitely Merry Christmas to everyone. Enjoy. Be safe.
All right. Jessica Wynn.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Was that a yay or nay?
Yes.
Willie Davis.
Yes, and Merry Christmas, everyone, and man, God bless you all.
Thank you, Willie. Mr. Jerry Mingo.
Yes, and Merry Christmas, and everybody be safe.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Belton.
That's a yes. And I would like to echo what's been said earlier. Our situation is exceptionally serious, and we need to take it that way. Be safe out there.
Thank you, sir. And that is a yes for me.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from all the staff.
Thank you,
Merry
Mike. Looking forward to seeing everybody next year.
Yes.
Absolutely.